Hi, Tara.
Joining us a little early. First thing on the agenda is, of course, to approve the agenda. So I'm looking for a motion.
I'll move the agenda as submitted.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Next, matters of public interest. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak? I am not seeing anybody. So on to our fourth order, which is to talk about the administrator's review process. And for this, I've had Mark Goldberg come. Mark works for David Drawn and Associates. We've been working with DDA for probably the last year and a half or so on HR stuff. And we took a look at the performance review process that we had been using, which I believe dates to 1985. We sort of felt like perhaps it needed a little bit of an update. So we got Mark involved, and Mark and I worked over the past few weeks on getting the new form together, and the process you'll sort of recognize is quite similar to what we've done before, but just a few changes. So I'm going to turn this over to Mark first, and please be sure and ask any questions, and let's see what we've done.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction. Mark Goldberg, as she said, here from DDA. So a little bit about kind of why we're doing this. So performance evaluations, especially at an executive level, are really important because you want to be measurable. You want to understand what's going on with the person's job. You want to be specific. You really want to say, just not have be, what do we feel like for this? You want to have something be concrete and defined, and that's what we kind of looked at for this. So in creating this form, what I did was I went through some job evaluations, performance evaluations I'd done for some other cities, and then just try to be creative around how we want to do this. So broke it down into some specific areas. There are, I want to say 28 questions that are here, encompassing a number of different areas, but really, just trying to get a sense on, looking at the breadth and depth of the job. What is this person doing, and how do you feel that they're doing on all these different kind of categories? So we're going over this right now. I'm going to send this out to all board members on Friday. Along with that will be the 2026 work plan, as well as the most recent job description. Just so you have a sense on, here's what we're looking at with this. You don't necessarily have to go through any of that, but it's just background information. If you do want to go through it, you will have about 9 days to review it. So you'll have the whole next week up until that Sunday to review things. I will close this. Oh, I should actually say this. It's all going to be electronic. You're going to be sent a link to something called SurveyMonkey. I love SurveyMonkey. It makes things, I don't know if you guys, I see people nodding their heads. It's a really cool tool. So we're going to go through SurveyMonkey, put it on there. You're going to have a chance to kind of, here's what I say for this position, here on all these different questions. You'll have about 9 days to review it. I'll close it on the 18th, and then I'll do some analysis around it. And then Dorothy and I'll talk actually on the 22nd, because she's unavailable on the 23rd. And then, we'll come back. Actually, now that we're saying that, it's not going to be the 18th of February. It's going to be the 29th, correct? So January.
It's later in February, because we're now at the third Wednesday of the month. We need to set a time to actually do Terry's review with him. And we took a look at some dates, and it looks like the best date for Terry, Mark, the 29th. So would you please look at your schedules
No, I can't do anything on the 29th of this month.
Of which month?
of this month?
Of January.
We're trying to get it done by the end of January, because that's the review date is January of the year. So that's why we're trying to do that.
I've
What
got a
time are we
commitment.
looking at?
It's we're flexible on the time. So you can't do the entire day on the 29th, on the
I don't think so.
29th.
Committed to a day of, it's on the Mississippi River. We've got a meeting with Cora and everybody. And so my understanding is it's going to be a long day.
Okay, so Terry, you might want to look at your schedule again and see what you've got that might be available after everything is turned in. So anything between the 23rd is the day we're going out to the Minnewacan and Sioux community. That's what we can't do it on the 23rd.
Well, could we do it before or after on that day?
Well, I think we're at 2:00 in the afternoon,
he's-
if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So then we could potentially do it in the morning. How does that work for everybody?
that works.
You
Do
could
it
do,
at
the
noon
23rd would work?
How early in the morning?
Yeah. Well, I would think a
I
couple
wondered
hours,
about
let's
that.
just say 10:00.
So basically, you and I would talk on the 22nd, get everything set, be comfortable, and then we turn around on the 23rd. Okay, I'm fine with it.
Because I know we all have that day off or committed to going on the cultural
Yeah.
tour.
Yeah. Well, Terry, how's the 23rd look for you in the morning?
President Pedersen, managers, I can do the 23rd in the morning. I can also do the 28th, if that works better, but the 23rd in the morning will work for me as well.
28th works.
Fine with
for you.
me, either one.
Okay. And Jill, how is your dates?
A board meeting on the 28th, according to this,
No,
a Bowser meeting, so.
So the
28th,
23rd would probably be better for you.
Yeah. I've got something that morning, but,
Well, how about if we just say 10:00?
well, I've got a meeting on the 23rd in the morning, thinking I would be okay up until 2. Sorry,
Okay, let's try again. 23rd, no. 29th, no. The 28th, no.
which one can you move? Is there a?
could do it in the afternoon of the 28th.
Okay, let's look
like
at
2
that.
o'clock, so say.
That'd be fine for me.
Yeah, I can move. mine.
Make it work.
That's okay. Terry, the 28th in the afternoon,
That would actually work well.
we have a day.
Mazel tov. All right.
That was President Pedersen, manager, sorry to interrupt. That was at 2 PM. Is that what we had, like I thought I heard?
Yeah, I think maybe if we start at 1 and then you count on the fact that you should probably be here after like 1:30, 1:45, something like that. How does that work for everybody?
I gotta get home from St. Paul and those meetings can go to 1, so,
Okay, so 2 is better.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start at 2. That just means you be available like 2:30, 2:45. Okay, Terry?
That works for me.
Okay, got that on your schedule now, Mark?
I'll put it on.
Yay. Okay, the 28th, 2:00 here. Okay, so that's that. And I think it's important for them to actually know where we came up with the review
Yep. And
and what it looks like. So I think you should show them. And while I was working through this with Mark, I got a copy of 9 Miles District Administrator Review Form. And I also got the United Way CEO Review Form from a friend of mine. And then there's an organization called the National Nonprofit Leadership Center, which is based in Tampa, Florida. And their job is to help people do reviews of CEOs of nonprofits. So how I came up with some of the questions or changed some things was based on the 3 other things that I looked at and Mark's knowledge as well. So
that's
that's,
blended everything together,
Yeah.
honestly.
okay, so go ahead and show what we got.
So again, just kind of an overview on things, the timeline that we just talked about. If you want to just scroll down a little bit. So it's not short. So again, the goal is, all right, what's the review period? We're looking from all of last year. And then there's the rating right there. We would ask if you did say someone's unacceptable, and one of these is unacceptable, we'd like to know why. I doubt that will happen, but if it's there, you'll have a chance to have comments at the end of each one of these questions. Just going to kind of scroll down a little bit more. So I don't know if we need to read through all these, but you can see they're kind of broken up into different sections.
So there's organizational processes. Keep going down.
so is Terry gonna respond to these questions?
No.
This is for us to respond. We are looking for probably some sort of not only how his work plan is from last year to this year, so that here's what I had from last year, here's what I'm planning for this year, so you can make the comparison to that. We in the past have talked about asking for a pre-performance form, which says, how do you feel about these things? But we've switched from doing that to doing it after. So after we do the actual performance review, we've actually given the DA some response time. And most of those responses have been in written format, and that response goes in their personnel file. So does that sound fair to everybody?
Kind of. Not totally on board. I'm concerned about what Mark said about measurable and concrete. And these things that I'm looking at
Well,
are pretty dang subjective.
they're
and,
subjective.
I mean, like, establishes priorities and manages time wisely. Whose priorities?
Their own priorities. And the
Manages-
priorities, establishes priorities for themselves as well as for the organization.
Okay, number 3, manages activities to implement the district's goals and objectives through coordination with government agencies and supervision of district consultants, vendors, and contractors. How would I know that information?
Well, if you don't, then you could just skip the question or just say not, I have no direct knowledge of that.
No, it hasn't come yet, but you're very welcome to look at what
Just
this
wondering
is.
what
She knew because we've been working on the
okay, got
personnel
it,
committee
got
on
it,
it together.
okay.
That's why. That's why she.
Okay.
She had like the first version of it before
So-
we.
Just trying to be, again, trying to get as much for the soft skills. There isn't a lot from the hard skills. Like I can't say, they brought in this amount of money or managed this amount. I mean, that's a little bit,
Not worried about the money. I'm worried about the vision.
well, we've got actually stuff about vision. I mean, but vision questions aren't exactly measurable.
That's my
Subjective as
concern.
well.
Yeah. I mean, we do have questions around strategy and visions.
So you can see there's board relations in there. There's financial management and legal
I think
compliance.
the last section is,
Last section, there's
staffing.
staffing, and then there's community relations.
Yep.
And then the very last section is,
what are the strengths? What are the opportunities for growth?
and again, if you identify something as unacceptable on the scale, we're asking you to let us know what that item is and your thought about it.
I would appreciate some, I think, Jill brought up just, what if I don't know about it, to skip it? I would like a little guidance on if if you don't have it, maybe is there another choice that we could have, or we just default to satisfactory if we don't know, if it's like, it might be helpful to have, because there's a lot of areas that I'm not
Personally
speed on.
familiar with.
personally familiar
Some
with.
detail on how he's interacted with.
Or do we
community.
only do the aspects we're familiar with, but the subjects is broad? So I'm finding that a little potentially challenging to give a fair review.
Okay, so the way I sort of looked at this is your knowledge would come from the items that you normally work on, the committees that you're on, and our board meetings that we have. And between all of us together, put together with the merging of the average, somehow I think that ends up being the best review we can give someone, because otherwise you need to be here every single day supervising everything that the district administrator does.
I'd like to clarify what I'm asking then,
Okay.
because that's not the response I'm looking for.
Okay.
So assuming I don't expect to know the personnel details, the HR details, should I be directed if I feel like it's being satisfactorily taken care of, even though I don't personally know, do I mark satisfactory or leave it blank?
So
That gets to what direction do we have as a board for our review?
Okay.
If we're okay with the process and having people do like the treasurer, the details. I'm
Can you scroll? a little bit?
satisfied that it's being managed
Doesn't matter, just a little bit
appropriately.
more.
I don't know. some
So-
of it.
Or
Does
do we
that
have the
make sense?
committees report out on what they've been doing, so we have some more detail on that?
No, I'm not looking for more detail. I'm just would like a little guidance in here on
How to do
how to
the survey.
rate it for
If
us
it's
in
something you don't-
future.
Yep, and if it's something you don't know, let's say number 25 there, where they're like, I have no idea about the how they provided service to the community. I mean, you may have some sense, but you
On
don't-
some areas,
in
I
some
do
areas.
and some I don't.
So it's like in this case, I would say one of two things. I would say either you mark it as, we think everything's satisfactory, we think we're doing fine, or if you're not comfortable doing that, then just don't fill it out. But that's how I would approach it if I was in your shoes. Like, okay, you know what? I know enough about this that I'm comfortable saying, yeah, this is satisfactory. Everything's good with it. but some
Right,
people,
that's how I would tend to approach this, but I think everybody could approach it differently. So anyhow, it could be,
but it may, but you know, there's
That's-
enough
we could
questions there,
see.
and there's enough information from
Okay.
you guys that, you know, if some questions are skipped, it's not going to be a huge issue. We'll be able to have enough data from the other questions to form a really good picture of where things are.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Please.
I kind of agree with Bonnie. These questions are very developed for people that work with them every day, which we don't. So a
Right.
lot of this is going to be speculation, based on seeing him once a month. And also my question is, are we going to supplement this by doing like a little survey to the technical advisory committee, city managers, staff, so that we can get a more well-rounded picture than just us? I mean, I have seen that with other organizations. I would get surveys
The
like,
360 evaluation.
what do you think about this guy? You know, and are we thinking about maybe adding that to kind of help us guide? I mean, because we only see him in the meeting. It's like, how do the other people see him?
I think that's a good
Especially
idea.
coming off of, you know, it's been kind of contentious the last few years, so.
So I would say that a lot of my responses are, I'm going to look at what the work plan was and what he said he accomplished for the year, because he's giving this to us.
Right.
And this is what he gave to us at the beginning of the year in terms of what he was going to accomplish. And there's things on here that do point to, there's a whole area in here on accounting and budgeting. Did he do all these things? He says on here, did I do this? And he'll tell you exactly what he did on here.
Can we
So
get-
even though you might not see him, you at least have some data in which to base.
But
I
a lot
really
of
like
it is
that, what
Best
you
service to
said
the
about the
community.
360, but like a Survey Monkey with a couple easy questions to the people he works with, like in the cities. Are you satisfied with the
With how he
interaction with?
interacts.
I think that's actually excellent. Maybe we don't have to do it as part of here, but that's very useful because we have no idea how the cities see the relationship with the watershed district. And
Well, and if they have any suggestions, I mean, I'd like to get
Right.
a valid input.
You know-
I
you
know,
know
this is
what?
making it very
Just
complicated.
What
an
is that?
observational comment is, I don't know what it would be like to have 5 bosses and then invite the rest of the world in to kind of oversee that same thing again. I mean, this is
And then it becomes a question of how do you weight them? Do they weight them equally? Does it?
Well,
exactly.
Not to rate them, just to kind of get a feel for how he's being accepted, how easy is he to work with, how, you know, just to kind of get an idea to kind of supplement what we know about him. That was just a suggestion, so.
I think it's a
But-
good.
I guess along those same lines, it seems like, you know, we're interacting in our board meetings. We have people that come into the board meetings. We have our meetings that we go to in other areas. It seems like each person is going to have a different view based on interaction with outside sources relating to that relationship. So again, to invite the city in to do this, to me, it seems like it would be a nightmare scenario.
Well, it wouldn't be
There's plenty of
be
people out
all of the
there.
questions. It would be.
no,
just
not this form. It would be like a
No.
question.
Like
How
5.
have your interactions been with the watershed
a
district?
comment.
That is, I'll rate it 1 to 5.
See, my
That's all.
fear is that if you have a city where they do not like the fact they have to be permitted in a certain way, or they don't like how we're judging their permits, is he responsible for taking that in the chin because of what our permit rules are?
Not this, it's just, it would be
Okay,
good to
wait.
know.
Well, okay, wait, I'm just saying to you, please, you need to consider this.
Yep.
If we're the no and they want us to be a yes, and we send this thing out, and what is their way of being angry?
I hear that, but isn't that one of our goals is to improve relationships with the cities? That's on his work plan and that's something he spends a lot of time on.
And I think.
And I think he's made really good progress with it. And I think he's good at
I
it.
mean, I used to
So-
do these kind of surveys.
Don't,
Staff and employees that, you know, we work with on plans and permitting, like Bowser and the DNR. I would get those surveys all the time.
Mhm.
And it's just,
Well, when I worked for the state, we did a 360 review for all of our managers, supervisors, everybody.
I
And the
would say
state
That was common practice.
And the state will do that within the state,
Right.
but
Yeah.
not going outside the organization. That's fairly unusual to do.
Yeah.
360 within a group, your peers, your other, the group, that's, again, the state does that, lots of places do that, but it's pretty unusual to say, okay, let's have our clients kind of provide
Well-
input on that.
So how would we assess, let's say, your contact with the city? That relationship, because isn't that part of the work plan?
Yes, it's on here on the work plan.
So
He's
how
got
would we
on here.
assess
Can you-
this?
Can we get access to that again?
Yeah, this is going to be coming with the packet on
Okay.
Friday so that you actually have last year's and next year's.
Because the one I remember seeing was basically just he was oversight and it was of the staff and it was what they were doing. It wasn't,
No, I mean, he actually had, for example, review and suggest edits to the governance manual, updated governance manual with the date on here. I mean, he's actually giving you what he's done versus what he said he was going to do,
okay, I just need to see it again.
right? And then some of this, he is in fact responsible for overseeing a whole area. So his responsibility
that.
does include what the staff does. So, I mean, to me, that's what it should be.
It would seem like if we want to get outside reports back, that it would not be in this context. We'd be doing something where the watershed board sends out a survey to the different cities to see how the cities deal with the watershed and not specific individuals.
I would agree with that
That could be a goal to put
on the
in
10-year
in
plan.
the performance review thing is for next
And
year is to
we sort of
develop
do
and send that out.
We
Yeah,
Sort of do it indirectly, but maybe do it in
Yeah.
a more formal way.
yeah.
You know,
I
as-
would agree with, I
Yeah.
would agree with this because then it's not a person, it's the organization as a whole.
And as part of that, they can comment
We
on
need
how
some kind of
relations
feedback.
are.
on it.
Right. So would everybody, did that satisfy the need? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so that part's,
I think we're gonna take with a grain of salt if we think somebody's just being antagonistic. I mean, that's not,
I just,
we got enough common sense on that level
Oh, I hope
to
so.
read through that.
I
So.
hope
We
so.
do.
It just could be they wanted their $200,000 from this project and we said no, and so they're a little ticked off that we said,
That's not what
we're
asking
sorry,
for.
no. You know, I just don't want the person to be responsible for that, so.
Right.
Board Manager Crafton, you had mentioned you were a little hesitant around some of these questions. Are there ones you specifically wanted to look at or change or additional pieces you wanted to add to this?
Well, how am I supposed to know how appreciated the staff feels? I mean,
I'm sorry, what was that?
we don't see them, we don't meet with them, we don't hear from them, we're not allowed to do that, so.
Well, to go back to the question that was asked before, if you don't really know something for one of these questions, the two choices would be you either mark it satisfactory and say, you know what, from what I know generally, this is where I put it, and I generally put it satisfactory, or maybe as a general rule, you don't think it's satisfactory, or you think it's excellent, or you skip the question. If you don't have specific knowledge of it, those are really the two options. As a general rule, here's where I'm seeing this, or I'm not comfortable, so I'm just going to skip this. And that's okay. You don't have to fill out every single one.
Any other questions? I mean, this is why we've got Mark here, so this is the time.
So the Survey Monkey, in contrast to past years, is going to be answering to one of the 4 or 5 categories for each question.
Yes, you'll have the choice. If you can scroll up to the top there.
And
for a
and
second.
then, but in past years, there was much more verbiage in each question, right? So you had a general category and then you put in details for each one of those
Yes, sir.
categories.
There's going to be a chance after each question for you to put comments if you wanted to.
Is that the same?
That's similar,
Similar?
but it's, I think this is much more detailed than what we had in prior
Yep.
years. We
And
had
I-
5 questions in prior years, 5. And that's going to encompass the whole thing that the district administrator does.
Hoping this aligns more directly with the work plan, the
Not exactly,
questions.
but it aligns if there's a.
better.
It is better, yes.
I'm not suggesting that we
That's- would
do
be
that at all.
Yeah.
I
It's
saw
not
the
exact.
questions
No, I
at the
know.
end, so it was just, So there's a section for comments after each question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Just make sure
Look at
they
the
add
last
a
bullet point up
a
there.
no idea for, so we can mark no idea.
You know what?
as
I can
a-
actually put that in there, like, no, not,
Why don't I have an idea of this? It's my question.
but
That could be an option.
And then,
Throw that in
maybe
there.
the
Not
no
enough.
idea has a little pop-up where you can put a.
I don't
comment.
think I necessarily have to say no idea, but something
know
to
what
the
I
effect
mean.
of no direct knowledge. How about that?
Knowledge, yes.
Or just a shrug. How about that?
Insufficient direct knowledge.
Sure.
There we
Shrug.
go. A shrug. I like that the emoji.
Yeah,
Seems okay. but I'm
yeah.
not
Mets
sure.
and Mets. Sorry, Jiddish. You didn't know Mets and Mets?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Does everybody have any other comments or questions? Do you want to just take a look at it?
If you want to go through the questions one by one, I
Sure
can do.
can.
And Terry, I know you sent me the 26 work plan. If you can send me the 25 work plan also, that'd be great.
I think, Mark, I think all I sent you was the 25 work plan. I'm working on the 26 work
You did.
plan.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry.
Part of that will be contingent upon the next item on this agenda. So,
Okay. All right. Thanks. Appreciate that, man.
yep.
Any other questions or comments or?
Keep scrolling.
Okay, okay. We'll give you a minute
Yeah,
to look.
there's a
through
lot here to go through, guys. We'll take as much time as you need.
Assuming anybody can say stop if they're waiting for it to stop.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we get questions that relate to the delegation to staff for, to get at that?
Thanks.
We're
I'm not.
looking at the staffing section, correct? That's.
But just as far as, kind of,
There's 28 of them. I don't remember. We'll see when we get down
I
there.
think it's underneath the staff. I'm the one who took questions and kind of put them into categories.
Yeah, I had them more or less kind of set up like that, and then Dorothy went through.
Yeah, and I just went through it, said, yeah, I don't like this one. I want this one. And I
Okay.
moved these around. I mushed them around.
Not too much. You just moved a couple. You didn't move a ton. You also took 2 out, I think.
I did.
Yeah.
I felt they were repetitive or they didn't really apply to our situation.
Fine.
so what's number 13?
Oops, scroll, please.
So that means if we are having problems with a specific lake or a stream or a project.
Yeah, I
that
can't
we
see
had
the
work done,
subject, so it was,
yeah, it's just whether or not,
no,
They
that's
can-
under personal skills.
yeah, that's, do they try to put it in perspective for you so you can understand where it came from and what we started at?
Some questions could be put in multiple.
I don't understand this under personal
Well,
skills, I have to say.
I had to put it somewhere, and so I just sort of.
Well, that would very much influence how I answer the question. If that's,
mean,
I don't
it's
know what
not
you're
good
getting
when you
at.
have to explain a question so that we understand what you meant.
Would you like to take it out?
Then we're all gonna
Probably-
explain.
No, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing with that.
Okay, so maybe we end up moving 13 up into the very first category.
If it's under lakes, that's a whole different
If
response.
it's underneath organization up there,
That
organizational
sounds like a
performance.
better place. than
Okay, then we
personal.
just move that
I
up.
could work with
So if you
that
could
better.
please
Would you do me a
move
favor?
13
Yeah, just
up.
move 13 up to just copy it and just.
It'll let me, because I don't have a.
It should. I mean, you're just on the.
Or just
Yeah,
write a comment.
because we don't have a.
It could be a miscellaneous category. I don't care.
I'll
but
put it
that's,
in. I'll just- I'll
if
make
you
it
want it
better.
to be more broader reaching.
I've got it in my notes too, Mark.
Okay.
So. Okay, keep going.
Okay, thank you.
see if that delegation question is
Number,
there.
number 21, the words like all make me really nervous as a person.
Yeah,
I would just say critical factors.
Okay,
influencing
take the
this.
word all out and just say
Yep,
critical.
When
got
you
it.
give me absolutes, then it takes me another place too. Because you really can't do that.
Not a problem. Okay. So there's nothing in the staffing section around delegation specifically. It's implied in some areas.
So maybe in 24,
That's what I
it
would,
feels like it could be a little more explicit that, basically continues something to get at continuous employee growth by additional responsibilities, that kind of because that's what we're trying to do as a whole, is to keep people more, people doing as much as they can, challenge them. I feel like that
Growth.
seems to be an important, something I would like called out.
okay, how about if we say sets expectation and develops,
How about continuous growth through the delegation of additional responsibilities?
yeah,
Something like that.
All right.
Just a little more specific than goals, because that's
Yeah,
different.
something about growth and
Right.
developing
That helps.
skills.
That will
and
do it.
Keeping them happy.
For me, the thing that
Is he bringing
Jumps out.
chocolate in? Is there a question for that? Does he bring snacks in?
Well, set a performance. That is
Absolutely.
a specific, we talked about measurability. That certainly would be how many times have you brought in chocolate?
seems to be grimacing at that one there.
I like him.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Was it?
Well, it would work for me, but that's a
It would
whole
work for me,
different.
too. All depends on the chocolate. that's brought in.
That is true.
Okay,
should
Jill,
not
you
joke.
had a question with number,
Well, 24, so sets expectations and develops challenging goals. See, I don't see him doing that as much as allowing staff to see the priorities and issues that need to be dealt with and going ahead and taking initiative and doing it. To me,
So-
that's more of a value that I see.
Empowering people.
Captain, what I'm going to change that to is sets expectations and continues growth through growth of staff through delegation of additional responsibilities. With that,
I like
And
I like
empowerment,
what you
you
just
like that
said.
word empowerment.
Empowers.
And empowers staff to
Okay.
take initiative. something
That's
like
got a
that.
whole
We
lot
want
more
that.
value than this other stuff seems like.
continues growth and empowers employees
Yeah.
and
something
empowers
like
staff.
that.
Sure, no
However.
problem.
Those, getting at that.
He can write something. I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
Already got
he,
it.
he understands you get the concept.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
okay, keep going.
And Dorothy, I'll have this to you tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Sure.
When Mark says he's gonna have something to you, 7:30 in the morning, that sucker's in your inbox.
I tried. It's something I actually really pride myself on.
It's really good. Thank you.
What does best mean? 25.
Okay, how about best in class service?
No.
No, how about I was gonna say top
So is this a
tier.
responsive thing in this one? I mean, it's like that he's like,
Could be proactive, doesn't have to be responsive. It's what kind of services is he providing to the clients?
yeah, I don't. But you're right, it's the word the best is always that.
Phrase is very helpful. So
How about provides quality service?
That sounds
Yes.
better. That sounds better. It's
Better,
like anytime
better.
you get to the all or nothing words,
Yeah.
it gets.
I see more of it as facilitating good cooperation and relationships as opposed to service too.
Well, there's multiple functions, right? So that's
But there's a lot
I
of
think that
things
comes in the other
business
question.
has to respond to. If somebody gets a call from the city and they say, I want numbers from such and such a lake on this date or this year, how fast is it?
Josh and says, send over the report.
That's what I'm saying. You just,
I mean, he's,
yeah.
I take the word service as a community servant, which is what I operated as provide quality servant. Everything I do is a service. Yep. That's how I read that word, is maybe very different than other people.
yeah, see, I don't see that.
Yeah, I
in that
hear that. That's a different lens that we have.
I hear that you hear that.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's what I say. Everything has very different meaning to different people.
Okay, we got community relations.
That's it. And
That's it.
then it's just,
And then the last two. Okay,
all right.
you've now seen it.
So to summarize, I'm going to move 13 to the top section.
Yep.
I'm going to remove the word all from number 21. Number 24, we kind of went through that and talked about that. 25 will have provides quality service. Make those changes and we'll be good to go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you all so much. It was great seeing everyone.
Okay, that's it for this. I think the one thing I will say too is compensation. We have adjusted our compensation schedule based on the 3% that was budgeted and what we think we should be in the market from last year. So you will get a range that this job falls in and what the midpoint is. And then you'll see what his adjustment for cost of living allowance would have been from last year to this year. And then the next step, the options to take for his increase. So before he comes in to go over the review with us, we'll talk about that at the very end before he comes. And that way we can get submitted and everything is hunky-dory for his next paycheck.
It was the concept here that everybody automatically gets whatever cost of living or the
Mhm.
cost of living increase.
Right.
And then performance increases is that if they're satisfactory above, you're getting a performance increase, or if we decide it's time for a performance increase.
Okay, Terry, can you explain exactly how you've set this up for the changes in the comp system?
So, President Pedersen, Manager Nelson had actually hit on one of the detractions of a step system. It's harder to use wage increases as a benefit. What we had set up was that if an employee did exceptional work and the personnel committee agreed, then you could go 2 steps. But in most cases, it would just be a single step increase. You could also withhold a step increase if their performance was unsatisfactory. And actually, Mark is still here. He can explain the step increases probably better than I could. But as it's set up, it's a single step increase unless it is exceptional work that the personnel committee and or the board feels warrants a 2-step increase.
But it's always so like in the state system, once you hit midpoint, it was every other year for a satisfactory.
In this case, it is generally a every year you're doing it. Some places will slow down the increases towards the top of the structure. We did not do that with you guys, but normally within cities and counties, if it's a 12-step structure, and 9 to 12 steps is most common within the state, steps like 10, 11, 12 might be a little bit every other year kind of thing. Most places do it every year, but there are places that will slow it down when you get towards the very top.
The other thing that you probably need to know is that we're actually looking at salary surveys to ensure that the grade level minimum and maximum midpoint is really where it should be to be competitive.
So that's part of, I would like to be able to sort of take all that into account. Is it, but I don't want things to be, there's expectations. You don't want to set up something that's like, it's always the expectation you go.
When we looked at this a year and a half ago,
Yeah.
we did set it up and put you guys in a very good spot. I don't remember where we put you against the market, but I
Right.
want to say, Terry, please correct me, like 2 or 3% above
It depends on the position, but
on the aggregate. I
on
think
the
you were
aggregate, we were right at the let's see, I'm looking at it right now. 2% below the minimum, 3% above the maximum on the aggregate.
So that will be defined as highly competitive when you're right around there. So it's possible there was a massive change, but it's highly unlikely because there really hasn't been that much. So you guys are, especially if you did a 3% adjustment, which I know you did, you're staying right with the market. You're really kind of right there. That's going to vary by the position. I don't know if you were on the board when I was here and did a whole presentation around that a year and a half ago or so, but it's going to vary by the position. But
Oh,
on the
and it's the person's skill set and
that's the
tendency
employee.
within the position, right?
But that's the employee, that's not the range. So the salary range itself, that's what we want to make sure is appropriate compared to the market. People's placement within there, that's going to vary by a lot of different factors.
I guess part of it is I want to make sure with a step system, that there's always the expectation of a cost of living. If you're doing exceptional services, you're going to get yours plus another one. If you're satisfactory, it may be every other year. I don't know. I just personally, I'd like to see some range within our options.
That can be written in
without having that expectation. I don't, because that is horrible if you think this is it and then all of a sudden it comes back, because we kind of feel
It ties
very
it more to merit, kind of.
So I don't know. It's
So we
what is
used a
that?
merit guideline before we made the switch over a year and a half ago. And part of the issues with a merit guideline is it's hard to budget when you're trying to think of what your salaries are going to be for the upcoming year. So if you
unless
have
you want to do a
step
forced
system,
distribution, which is always seductive.
No. And so I would like to stay sort of on par with,
And
and
that's
if everybody's not always sort of, I assume that in general, most people are gonna be satisfactory. So it's like, is this trajectory in par with their people, or are we starting
Nope,
going?
you're
like
not
that?
going way up there.
That's
But
really what I'm.
I would tell you that if you do the every other year, you're satisfactory, do every other year, one of two things will happen, manager. One is people are going to be upset and leave because they like their increases, the cost of living and the step increases every year, or you will see suddenly everyone becomes like Lake Wobegon and everyone's above average. One of those two things will happen.
Right. So I'm trying to find where's that place that.
I understand. But here's what I want to emphasize to you. Right now, you guys are competitive. You're in the market. You're right around where you should be. Between 2% and 3%. 2% below on the minimum is not great, but that's not awful. 3% above on the maximum is a great spot. And while I haven't redone your market for you this year, I can tell you that if you did, if I did, it's probably going to be around the same, because the 3% adjustment's really close to where most
like
people
right
are.
now is expensive. So I'm just trying to be a good steward of our
course.
taxpayer dollars. So this is nothing to do with anything personal. So just, maybe it's just that you just check in on the salary surveys and where we're at.
we always do.
And
We always do.
sort of
And if
is
there's a
our-
job where you need to say, hey, let's take a look at this job, Terry knows he can call me and be like, Mark, what are the other water districts paying for this? And I'll be able to get it. I'm sorry, Terry.
Go ahead, Terry.
President Pedersen, manager. So our agreement with David Drawn Associate was for them to be able to revisit it. I think it was $2,500 to be able to revisit the salary schedule that we have and make adjustments accordingly. So yes, that was always my plan, that we would annually touch base with David Drawn and have them look at our current salary schedule and update accordingly.
I would say in the past, since I've been involved, it's been about every 2 years is when.
And that feels.
Yeah,
probably fine.
and usually at that 2-year point, we've seen, we need to make some adjustments. We're behind where the market should be. And because we have a tendency to have younger employees that haven't got as much experience, we're heavily weighted towards the lower 1/3 of the compensation scale for most all the grades. So we've not really ever had, oh my gosh, we're up here in the upper 1/3. Not happened since I've been involved since 2015. Oh.
The other thing that's an issue for me, which is probably not for anybody else, but there was a negative strain through everything that we did for a number of years, which to me inhibited the administrator's ability to take action and do more things. So this year we've been freed up from some of that. So I think my expectations are higher. Whereas last year it was like just didn't want to stir the pot. We didn't want anything to cause any more problems for the district and our perception of what we are and what we're trying to accomplish. So
Plus we have our plan now, so there'll be more of that.
Okay, Tom?
I have two questions.
Yeah.
Somewhat relates to this, but new people coming into the system, we're talking about people on the lower end of the weighting of the salaries. Are we experiencing what industry is, where a lot of times the new people coming in are higher than the existing system? Does that play into here at all?
Not that I know of.
What you're talking about, Commissioner, or Board Manager, is compression. It's called salary compression. Everybody experiences it to some degree. I don't know how much it is off the top of my head for you guys, but the truth is that there's only so much you can do with this. It's like, okay, we need to bring this person in, and it's a new hire, but maybe they have a lot of skills that you currently need. So they're being brought in at, or maybe even slightly above some existing employees, and that could make some existing employees upset. But it's like, this person, yeah, they're new to the organization, but they've got 10 years of experience and they've got all this other stuff.
I don't know that
There's
it's,
no answer to it, unfortunately.
Can you bring them in though at the midpoint of the range?
Sure.
I mean, you can bring them in.
You can bring 'em in
Wherever you want to bring.
so I have a son that's in the engineering business. He's in the same era as Scott, our engineer. And this is a giant problem for the industry, bringing new engineers in, which basically have no skills other than their schooling, and being at levels that are higher than people that have been on the staff. And so.
And that is a problem. I don't think you guys
Not so
have that
much here.
You don't have that as much here, but that is a problem across the public sector and across the private sector as well. It's a question of, do you want to pay what the market is, or do you want to, have a little bit less than that and possibly have
So I guess the general question is how does that or relate to anything we're talking about here at all? Is
not
it
directly, because that's a salary structure itself
okay.
rather than placement within that.
Where
So
public service concept comes into play.
Okay. So the other question I have is the timing of the reviews. Are we on track? And last year, it seems like something was out of sync, and are we?
Okay, well,
in
it
sync?
was the practice of the prior district administrator to do all of the reviews the first quarter of the year. And that's a pretty hard thing to do when you have this many people on your staff and it's right in the middle of your busy season. So that got switched back more towards anniversary dates as new people started. Then we started doing them on their anniversary dates.
That feels
And,
appropriate.
and is it, how about the administrator? Is he in sync with what we're doing now?
Yeah, actually, he's supposed to have his review done in the month of January, which is why we're doing it in January.
Okay.
But anniversary makes sense with the step system because it's all based on.
actually spreads the cost out a lot more too.
Yeah.
it
I
spreads
think
it.
that the hires I think staff asks us when they need help, and what we're doing and the quality of work we're trying to do here is driven whether we hire somebody, and for 6 months are kind of probation anyway.
Right, and that's the other thing is you talked about the ability to give 2 steps. So if somebody is sort of hired probationary, do they fit well? Do they work?
Sure.
That is a choice, especially early on, that maybe not, that's a tool you could use that somebody is like, they're bringing a lot more value. They're bringing additional value to the.
I guess in seeing what's happened in comp since I've been involved in 2015, most people have been brand new hires right out of college. And we've developed them along and trying to keep them where they really should be as they take on new responsibilities. Every year it's been, okay, maybe we need to give this person this much more of an increase. And that's happened a number of times. That we've actually made adjustments for the market to actually get them to where market really is.
I'm very understanding, in spite of what my questions may feel like to some people. As an engineer for the state, we had a 50% turnover rate in our staff because we cannot compensate what an engineer with experience would bring. So we bring them in, train them, and then they move on to the private sector. So there's a happy place in there where you get people who have a public service ethic, which is something we shifted towards like in the interviews, not just the best person.
Yeah.
But also, yeah. So I am very understanding of paying people what they're
Oh,
worth.
yeah,
I
yeah.
value our staff.
It's going to be a training ground.
But we
No.
don't want to be a training ground
so
either.
far-
So there
we
is a
have-
balance in there.
Go ahead, Terry.
President Pedersen, manager. So there's been two school of thought depending on which watershed district you go to. There are some watershed districts who really look at the entry level position and say, this is a training ground and we want them to move on and we want them to go find a more senior level position in another organization. What we have done here is tried to fit the person's skill set to the position that they should be in to retain that talent. We have actually drafted new positions in the past with new responsibilities, simply so we could do that. So, yeah, I'm keenly aware of what you're talking about, and I've seen it happen over and over again. But some organizations embrace it and they say, yeah, we just want them here 1, 2, 3 years as entry level, and then have them move on, and we'll get a new entry level position in there. Those
And
tend to be the
yeah, I see
yeah.
you doing that, and so I'm taking that into account. I mean, there's certain positions like inspecting, the construction runoff. It's like you can have people come in and do that.
Right.
You're not going to, nobody's going to stay in that position, probably long term if that's all you're doing.
Not if they're not a glutton for punishment. Yeah.
But we're focused on team building too, I think. I mean, to have people that are going to be good part of a team for our people
Right.
and work together, because sometimes they have to do cross
Mhm.
work. If you need somebody in the field with you, Josh, you're going to ask, right? So
No,
we
right.
want them to be a good team member. And you got to
And that appears to be the culture that they are working on, they have developed and are working on developing is, I see that. So.
Did we answer all of your
Yeah.
questions? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
good. Any other questions? Okay.
So
Oh, I think we're good.
Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Then.
Okay.
Terry, I'll talk to you.
Thank you,
about
Talk
Mark.
to you soon.
Thank you.
So we're going to get this rolled out to us
On Friday.
Friday, okay.
On Friday. And you will see his work plan, his new, where this is the old one, the old work plan, the new work plan, his most recent job description, the actual review with the changes that we've talked about. And I think that's what's going to be in there.
So if I don't like the way the questions asked, and I want to direct an answer that can better describe some of the assets that I think we're trying to judge, we just put that in the comment.
Yes, please. Okay.
And I would expect a specific, like, can you write it like this would be very helpful. Instead of, I want you to do this, because that's a lot easier to implement if you come up with like what you would like it to say.
Because that best service thing is driving me nuts.
Right, but if you can like rephrase something so that
Right.
not just say, this drives me nuts, that's harder to work with.
Okay.
And I mean, prior administrator, when we had some issues, we actually developed an improvement work plan. So that's something we could have some suggestions on things that we think that we'd like to see, so.
That's true. If there are things that you'd like to add to the work plan, then that's something that we need to be able to discuss if it's not there. But, when I've looked at it, it is just so immense.
Yeah.
It is a comprehensive job description, and I don't believe any one person could excel at
Yeah.
everything that is
You
in
got
that.
good people to delegate. to.
Yeah.
Correct, that's why
That's the point.
there's more than a one person could humanly do themselves, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're on to our next section of the meeting, which is to approve our new job descriptions.
President Pennison, managers, at the last meeting, we came to you with the proposed, with the new organizational chart, and in that were 3 positions that managers had wanted to know what those positions would entail. So I sent to you last week 3 different job descriptions for operations manager, for deputy administrator, and for watershed planner 1. I'm going to go through those with you. I'm going to go through them kind of high level, the broad categories of responsibilities, but any questions you have, feel free to ask and we can drill down through them. Let me share my screen here. And I'm going to start with the deputy administrator. I guess with this one, I think everybody understands the rationale for wanting a deputy. Oh, it looks like my internet's getting a little unstable, so let me know if I disappear on you, and I apologize. Um, this was really looking at first an emergency contingency and second a transition plan, but there are a lot of hats that the administrator wears, and that means that I've often said multitasking just means you're doing everything sort of okay. And so the deputy administrator in this place would be able to act in the stead of the administrator. They would really maintain oversight of the education outreach and planning department, assuming the other position is approved. They would lead the watershed management planning efforts, and they would assist the administrator with budgeting and with the implementation of other plans that we have throughout. They would also represent the district in public settings. So there would be a large public presence to this position. So it would definitely need someone that has those skills. So that is that position. It would be a grade 7 position, which we have 8 grades. Salary range of $78,000 to $117,000, depending on qualifications, an exempt position. Any specific questions about the deputy administrator?
Just that we need this.
It's a good idea. I think it's a,
9 Mile and Rams, is it Rice Creek that also has this job, Terry?
9 Mile, Rice Creek, Capital Region,
Capital Region.
and
Yes.
South Washington all have had it.
Yeah.
In this position.
It's becoming more common, I think, in the metro area than in the past years.
We got a whole lot of people engaged with, so.
Yeah. Okay, that's that one. Thank you, Terry.
Yep. All right, next one would be Watershed Planner 1. And this, again, going back to the prior topic on this agenda, some of why I don't have a 26 work plan is some of it is contingent upon whether or not the board authorizes these positions, will affect what my job plan is, supervisory responsibilities, et cetera. So this is an entry-level watershed planner. I talked to the personnel committee. There was a individual who worked for Bowser. I was kind of hoping to come on. That person has since taken another position. So, but with the watershed planning effort we have going on right now, I'm really looking for somebody to just assist both the deputy administrator and the administrator with maintaining communications with agencies about different efforts that we have, steering committee, et cetera, working on the long range planning, assisting with that, and really participating in our neighborhood meetings, our steering committee meetings, things of that nature. The other aspect, so that would be a little less than half of their job. Then there would also be education and outreach aspect of it. So they would work with the CAC. They would act as the liaison to the CAC. They would be responsible for organization of media events, our public open houses, special events that we host, other items like that. And then responsible for maintenance of specific web pages. One of the things right now with our web page, we don't really have a standard operating procedure of who is responsible for what pages, who is responsible to make sure projects are updated or that the calendar is updated. So with these new job descriptions, I've tried to get that laid out better as well. And then they would assist with project planning, and primarily what they would assist with is that initial part of project planning where we're reaching out to our partners, setting up meetings with stakeholders or property owners, help engage in that aspect of it. And then other duties would just be to assist other places as need, really. And that kind of is smattering throughout all of our departments. And then, of course, the all-encompassing other duties as assigned. So this would be an entry-level position, salary grade 4, which we have, again, we have eight grades. Grades 1 through 3 are not exempt positions. Grade 4 through 8 are exempt positions, fit into the $56,000 to $84,000 range.
So-
All right.
Seeing
Oh,
some of this as a watershed planner also is somewhat being a project manager role too because we don't really have project managers in the watershed district.
Right. So at the President Pedersen, Manager Nelson, at this time, the project planning would still remain with myself or the administrator. But yes, I would, as we had talked earlier about taking entry-level positions and giving them increasing responsibilities, I would see this growing into that position of taking on project management responsibilities, much like what 9 Mile does with their planner.
But I feel like we need a position that has a path for that.
Yep. And I think this would be the appropriate position for that path. So yeah, that's why I've got it as written as project planning, but the duties that are under it are pretty.
Yeah, I see you have some initial more the administrative, the reaching out tasks in there, but it feels like it could build to that. So I feel like that's a need for our watershed district, someone with that skill set.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. Okay. The last one, I'm sorry, are there more questions on this? I don't mean to cut off discussion. Okay.
Thank you.
Then the last one is the operations manager. So you can blame John Loomis for this and Manager Duval, but I originally was hesitant on this. But the more I talked to other organizations that utilize this position, the more I really saw how it can be very valuable. So this position really deals with the keeping the lights on type thing. So they will be responsible for accounts payable, accounts receivable. We'll work with Barry Dunn as we set up the new reporting system and the new, whether it be QuickBooks Online or another accounting software. This person would be responsible for that. And that's why in any job posting, we would want somebody with several years of experience doing bookkeeping or accounting. They would be responsible for all of our chain of custody, for all of our bonds, all of our cash escrows, all of our letters of credit, all of our construction bonds for our own projects, permit fees, all of that. And that's one thing that I think Manager Develop can speak to has been kind of, we got a spreadsheet for that. It's not, so that's one that looking for improvement. Assist with the budgeting, assist with audit, publishing all requisite notices, and then preparation of levy certifications. Governance aspect of it. This one I particularly like, the last bullet point. This person would be responsible for assisting me in putting together all Minnesota Government Data Practice Act requests. They would coordinate under the direction of the administrator, development and dissemination of all public notices for public hearings, requests for proposals, requests for qualifications, etc. They would administer and operate the interactive technology that we're working through right now. And then we talked about other parts of the web page. They would be responsible for all the public facing calendars, monthly board packets, everything else that the public needs to be able to get, and then act as a general clearinghouse for questions of that nature. And then there'd be general administrative tasks, which I think are fairly self-explanatory, but really our vendor, managing our vendors. And then making sure that we have the things we need in the office, doing our requisitions of new equipment through them, et cetera. And then I say et cetera a lot as my I apologize for that. And then human resources, they would assist the deputy administrator with onboarding, with getting people set up with the things that they need to perform their tasks, and with any separation. This one we would be looking for, not necessarily a bachelor's degree, but we would want either an associate's degree in 8 years of directly related experience or a bachelor's in 3 years of directly related experience. And then a number of specific skills to this position, the accounting being the biggest one, but human resources knowledge would also be good, especially with how quickly HR policy and law has been changing of late with every administration. There seems to be a brand new set of rules, a little hard to keep up with. So I'd be asking them to be attending HR seminars and keeping apprised of everything. Those are the positions that I would like to have the managers approve. That would complete the organizational chart, which was approved contingent upon these job descriptions at the last board meeting. Are there questions?
Okay, what about water resource tech grade 3? Did we already approve that one, Terry?
Yeah, so that's the position that's always been there. But what we did is we added 1, 2, and 3 to it. So it really is what Tim Tobes was before. And then when he left, Andrew Hartman assumed that position. So we have separated the water resource tech that needs to supervise people in the field from those who are more very entry level people.
I just want to make sure
Yep.
that we got this approved as well as the 3 you're bringing to us.
Yeah, I can bring up that resources, job descriptions, current water resources tech.
The water resource tech
Yeah, okay, I've got that in
3.
front of me, yeah.
3.
Yep. So this is
Yes.
yep. So this is the water resources tech 3, grade 3. So really, they are responsible for all the things that Josh is. We want somebody who's in this position who maybe doesn't have the same limnological background as Josh, the same fisheries background, but if we know that we need to set up a SON somewhere, we can have this person go out with the seasonal employee, set that SON out. We want someone who really can work independently. Prior to this, we've done what Manager Nelson was talking about. We've hired somebody straight out of college, had them here over successive years, and then they work their way into that position. With Andrew Hartman moving over to the regulatory coordinator position, we lost that. So we want to be able to hire someone straight into that position rather than having to hire an entry level and have 2 or 3 or 4 years elapsed before they can really start assuming those responsibilities. While Josh, again, will not say boo, he has a lot on his plate. And so I think this more than the other 3 positions, to be honest, is paramount to have.
Josh will be a big part of hiring this person, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Reports to him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And this person will have to be able to repair nets, I assume.
Yeah, sewing skills.
Comments and questions.
I had 2 comments, I guess. One is I saw like on the operations manager, there were a couple typos where you have like associates. It should be associate '*S. There were a couple of those that I saw in a couple of these descriptions.
Yeah, you'll also note the formatting between the 3 aren't the same. So I've got to update the formatting. So there's still some change to make, but yes, you're correct.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of fixing it. The other question I had is if we approve the deputy administrator, are these gonna, like the operations manager, would they report to the deputy administrator rather than the administrator? Or Because now you've got them reporting everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of them reporting directly to you.
It would be reporting.
So at, remember the last organization chart, there was a note in the bottom right-hand corner that said, if we move to an operations manager, that operations manager would report directly to the administrator.
Okay.
So the water resources tech will,
You just see the most recent one.
Would go to,
Josh,
yeah,
yep. And then the
Okay.
planner would report to, the deputy administrator.
okay, I didn't catch that.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
So when are these likely to be sought? People for
Water
these
Resources Tech 3, we want to have in place working by February 16th. Once we have that off the plate, then we will start advertising these other 3 positions. Ideally, I would like to have them by the end of spring in place. So sometime in March, end of March.
Does that work with your timing for finance
Yeah,
switchover?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I just
yeah.
wanted to make one comment regarding just to have everything out here. So we're just starting our transition to Barry Dunn, and in context of adding new people to take on these internal accounting type roles, we've never had anybody with direct accounting knowledge on the staff. So I would just caution everybody about what we've laid out here. It may change as we understand what the new system is.
Correct.
We don't know exactly what that is going to be yet. So that once we see that starting to fall in place, then we're going to be able to look at the activities of and there are some overlap in some of these areas relating to budgeting and who's responsible for what. We want to make sure that they fit in with our proper accounting procedures as we review our new systems. And again, in the past, there's been no basis to really lay out what that framework might look like. So I'm just saying it as a precaution that what we're seeing here is not necessarily the way it might actually go out in a job description or hiring. It'd be similar, but some of the duties might be broken up differently than we're perceiving it right now. And so again, it's the idea that we don't necessarily want to hire for all the positions for jobs relating to accounting and finance, that we know what that position is actually going to be doing. We know generally, but not specifically. So that's a comment. That's the only comment I want to make. Otherwise, I'm fine with this.
And I think bouncing off of your comment there, Tom, when we're looking at the org chart, everybody got this org chart by email from Terry. That's just our look at what it is now. But because we're going to be working on the 10-year plan and there's going to be a lot of changes with the new property, you all know this is all going to be in flux. You're going to see new jobs change, duties will shift from one thing to the next. Just sort of pre-warning you as he is that these are not sort of a set in concrete stone when we've got so much happening.
Okay.
Yes.
So with that said, I'd like to move approval of these 4 different job descriptions. Or do we need to do them separately, or?
We can do it all.
You can do them as a unit.
I'll second it.
Second. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those who are in favor of the approval of the 4 job descriptions, please say aye. Aye. None opposed. Got that passed.
Thank you, managers.
And I believe that concludes our business for this afternoon. Get ready with your pencils and papers for the packet to come this Friday.
If these are approved, are we moving people into these people with official titles that they may not have had before?
So Terry, my understanding is you're hiring Josh's person first by the 15th of February, correct?
Correct. And I would like to hire Liz Forbes by tomorrow.
I was going to say.
Congratulations, Liz.
Sooner the better.
Okay, I think that's it for us.
All
right,
Thank you,
so
everyone.
I
28th at 2 p.m.
The 28th at 2 p.m. We probably won't need you until like 2:45 or something like that day, okay?
I'll go hide in my back office
We need to be able to sit around and talk.
Did you move into the back now?
He's in the
Yep.
back. He's
Yep.
not responsible for any dying plants anymore. It's just,
Yep. Hey, it's not dead.
okay.
I kept it alive. Not
Right,
thriving.
I need a motion to adjourn.
I moved to adjourn.
Second. Give it to Bonnie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Never
All
fail.
those in favor of adjourning, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you so much for coming
Thanks,
in.